If you want a new gaming PC and you must have an Nvidia graphics card, the RTX 4000 Super series might be your best option. For that reason, I will show you the best price to performance gaming PC builds with an RTX 4000 Super graphics card. I will also explain to you the level of performance that you can get at different resolutions with this system, and I will go over different budgets, that way everyone gets a system in this video. All the links to these PCs will be down below in the video description, and you will also have my PC community in there in case you want to join. My name is Valentino, and with that being said, let's start. With the first system, we have the 1080p Max / 1440p Ultra gaming PC build. I do recommend you this system more for 1440p than 1080p, so if you have a 1080p monitor, you can still buy this system and get very high FPS, but I do recommend you upgrading eventually to 1440p resolution. And the reason why is because here you get the RTX 4070 Super for the graphics card, which is a very nice 1440p gaming GPU, and I will talk about the level of performance in a second. But before doing that, I want to tell you about the rest of the components. Here you will go with a Ryzen 5 7600 CPU, which is the one that I have right here, and this one is an amazing 6-core 12-thread processor that is very upgradable over time because you are on the AM5 platform, which means that if down the line you want to upgrade to the fastest CPU in the market for gaming, which is the Ryzen 7 7800X3D, you can do so pretty easily without having to change the motherboard. And the most important thing here is that this CPU will not bottleneck the RTX 4070 Super, so you will not suffer from any stutters or your GPU not working the way it should. So this CPU and GPU combo is amazing for 1440p, and as I said before, I will get into the level of performance in a second. But anyway, for the CPU cooler, you get the ID Cooling SE214XC. This is the white edition. Then for the case, I went with the Fractal Design Pop Mini Air. This one is going on an insane discount for just $50. It has 3 pre-installed fans and it's a very premium quality case that usually goes for above $80. So you are saving $30 for a premium quality case with plenty of airflow, which is the main point in the case. And honestly, having 3 pre-installed fans is going to make your life easier, not only because you don't have to install more fans, and that can be a headache, but also because it can get quite expensive when you add more fans in a case that doesn't come with any pre-installed ones. Now, for the memory kit, I went with 32 gigs of DDR5 memory at 6000 MHz DL30 timings. This is a very fast memory kit, and because you get 32 gigs of RAM, it's going to be ideal not only for gaming but also for content creation, productivity work, and streaming in case you're interested in doing more than just gaming. Then you get a 1TB Gen 4 SSD, which is usually enough, and if you need to upgrade the storage down the line, you can do it pretty easily because the motherboard has more than one M.2 slot, which means that if down the line you buy another storage for you to have 2 TB or more, you can just plug it in pretty easily. Talking about the motherboard, here you get the ASRock B650M Pro RS. This one is a very decent quality motherboard that will allow you to upgrade to the fastest CPU in the market, as I said before, so you get a very upgradable path with this system. And last but not least, we have the power supply. I went with an A-tier rated unit, which means that it's the best quality out there, and this one is the NZXT C750. This one is a 750 watt power supply, which is overkill for this system, but if you want to upgrade to a faster graphics card down the line, you can do so, and most likely you will not have to change the power supply, which is always a plus. The price for this system when recording this video is $1,226, so very good for the price, but it might be more expensive because some of these components are going on a nice discount, like the case for example, so I do recommend you checking the latest prices in the description. And in terms of performance, on a 12-frame average from TechSpot, on high to ultra settings at 1080p resolution, the 4070 Super was able to average 146 FPS, which is an insane number, and that's why I tell you to upgrade to 1440p, because 1080p is a complete overkill with this system, and you can get away with a cheaper PC if you're just going to play at 1080p. When talking about esports games, you can expect 240 plus FPS on average at 1440p on competitive settings. And then talking about 1440p resolution, if you want to play high demanding titles on that same 12-frame average, but this time at 1440p high to ultra settings, the 4070 Super was able to average 108 FPS, which is a very high number once again, because you are getting an average of 100 plus FPS in high demanding games. You can also play at 4K if you turn on DLSS, which is the upscaler from Nvidia, or if you want to play easier to run games, for example GTA 5 at 4K, that is not going to be an issue at all. So overall, you are getting a great system for around $1,200 that will allow you to play at 1440p Ultra, 1080p Max, and you can also play at 4K depending on the game and depending on the settings. Now, moving up in price for around $1,500, you are getting a very similar system, but the difference here is the CPU and GPU combo. Everything else is the same, but for the CPU here you get the Ryzen 7 7700, which is an 8-core processor compared to the 6 cores from the Ryzen 5 7600. In terms of gaming performance, both are going to be very similar. And then for the graphics card here, you get the RTX 4070 Ti Super, which has 16 gigs of VRAM compared to the 12 gigs of VRAM from the 4070 Super, making it a great choice not only for 1440p but also for 4K resolution. So I call this system the 1440p Max / 4K high gaming system. Now, in terms of gaming performance, at 1440p on that same 12 frame average, 4070 Ti Super was able to average over 120 FPS. So that's quite a big difference, especially considering that you get more VRAM, which is going to be helpful down the line at 1440p resolution. And then at 4K, with the 4070 Super, you can get 60 plus FPS on average, but with the 4070 Ti Super, you can get 70 plus FPS on average, which is once again quite a big difference, especially since we are talking about 4K high demanding titles on ultra settings. Now, the 4070 Ti Super is great also for content creation, productivity work, and for ray tracing performance. So if you want to turn on ray tracing, you are going to be getting a very smooth experience. Now, if you want to turn on ray tracing at 4K, then I do recommend you turning on DLSS, which is the upscaler from Nvidia, because you will be achieving higher FPS. And in my opinion, it is much needed if you want to play with ray tracing on. If you're not going to be playing with ray tracing on, then in some games at 4K you will be fine at native resolution. But if you're going to play a game like Cyberpunk 2077, which is a very high demanding game at 4K ultra settings, then I do recommend you turning on the DLSS. And then if you have even more money to spend, I do recommend you getting the 4K ultra gaming system from this video, which has the RTX 4080 Super, and it has the Ryzen 7 7800X3D for the CPU, which, as I mentioned before in this video, this one is the fastest CPU in the entire market. So if you want to play high CPU demanding titles, then this CPU is going to be ideal for you. And the 4080 Super is 4K graphics card that is better than the 4070 Ti Super and 4070 Super. For the CPU cooler, you get the Thermal Ride Phantom Spirit. This one is going to be more than enough for our Ryzen 7 7800X3D. And then you get a B650 Aorus Elite motherboard, which is great for future upgrades in case you want to upgrade to a newer CPU from AMD, which they are going to be released later this year. So for future upgrades, this motherboard is amazing. Then you get 32 gigs of DDR5 memory once again. Then you get 2 terabytes of Gen 4 SSD instead of 1 terabyte, which is going to be helpful if you are thinking of downloading a bunch of games, or if you are a content creator and you know that you need to be transferring big files. This is going to be ideal for you, at least 2 terabytes. Then I changed the case to the Deepcool CH560. This one is my favorite case in the entire market. I think it looks amazing, has plenty of airflow. The price is high at $110, but in my opinion it's worth it because of how good this case is. And then last but not least, I went with an 850 watt power supply from Be Quiet. This is A-tier rated as well, so the best quality out there. And the total price for this system is just under $2,000. And in terms of gaming performance, you can expect 85 plus FPS on average, talking about 4K ultra settings in high demanding titles, native resolution. So once again, if you turn on the DLSS in the most high demanding games, you can expect even higher frame rates depending on the game and the settings. Now, you can also use this system for 1440p. I do think it's an overkill, but if you already have a 1440p monitor and you want to upgrade to 4K down the line, having this system is going to be ideal, especially if you have around $2,000 to spend. But if I had to recommend you a monitor, it would be a 4K one for this system. In terms of esports titles, you get the fastest CPU in the market, so you can expect 360 plus FPS on average at 1440p competitive settings, and then you can expect 240 plus FPS on average at 4K, once again competitive settings, and even higher frame rates depending on the game that you are playing. Now, if you enjoyed this video, leave a like and subscribe, But most importantly, if you need personal PC help inside of my community, you can ask me anything that you want. That's going to be the top link in the description. And if you have a different budget and you're looking for a PC build, let's say you have under $1,000, or maybe you want the best of the best and you have more than $3,000 to spend, then I do recommend you watching my video on the best gaming PC builds of the month for every budget and every resolution. That video will be in the top right of the screen. And thank you guys for watching, thank you for the support, and I will see you on the next one.